Exclusive contract from Feilu Novel Network Novel. National job transfer. Starting with Zerg, I am invincible. Global changes, the gaming world has come to reality. Fierce beasts ravage, dungeon upgrades, and treasure exploration in secret realms. This is the world of individual job transfers. Lu Heng traveled through time and activated 3 hidden professions during the job transfer ceremony. A celestial anomaly brings jealousy to everyone. The whole world is speculating on how he will choose at this moment. Lu Heng suddenly awakened his system and an option popped up in front of him: Shadow Artillery Master, reward. Causal Law Shooting Technique Bright Knight, reward. Life Spirit Spring CoordinatesDemon Insect Language, reward. Can contract to control all insects and receive critical strike feedback, hundreds to tens of thousands of times. Lu Heng glanced at it and made a choice without hesitation: Night Watch Organization. The will of Lu Heng is above all else. No disobedience allowed. Fierce Beast King. Run quickly. A natural disaster has arrived. All the heavens and all the tribes. In the front of China, gods and demons are forbidden to travel. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. The World of National Job Transfer. Seeking Flowers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 3 years ago, Su Chen from Jiangnan Base became the Flying Feather Divine Shooter during his initial job transfer. 10 years ago, Zhang Mingyu from Guanhai Base became a Dragon Knight during his initial job transfer. 100 years ago, the world just underwent a big change. There is a young man in the capital who, during his initial job transfer, obtained the only hidden profession: the inheritor of fireworks. To this day, a deity named E. Arrows have no false arrows. Gods and demons have changed their ways. Defend the territory in the East China Sea. Become a Dragon Knight. Under the blue sky, create endless legends. And the last boy. Now you are the Emperor of Great Xia. You are also the guardian god of Great Xia. Invincible existence. On the podium, Sun Weiming serves as the class teacher. When speaking these words, there were ups and downs and an excited expression. Underneath him, each green and astringent face was also filled with longing. Many people are blushing and eager to start their initial job transfer immediately. Lu Heng sat among a group of students. Upon hearing these legends, my heart was also stirred. As a traveler, he has been waiting for this moment for too long. In his past life, he had fantasized countless times. To go out to sea with his aura, to soar to the sky with his hands, and to pull up the river with a sword. Now, we have truly arrived in such a world. And the initial job transfer is about to begin. This world is at a level of development comparable to previous lives. 100 years ago, there was a sudden change. The gaming world has descended into reality, completely integrating. The entire blue star expands thousands of times in a very short amount of time. Like the mythological era, many mountains appear out of thin air, piercing into the clouds. Dungeons, forbidden areas, secret realms in the game and countless ferocious beasts also appeared along with it. They are extremely cruel, occupying cities and territories solely for hunting and killing humans. In that dark era, life was like a blade of grass, with a sharp decline in numbers. Just as the building was about to collapse, the job transfer system has finally emerged. Just like in the game, everyone can kill monsters to gain experience points and even equipment. When the level reaches level 10, you can initiate an initial job transfer and obtain stronger professions. On the podium, Zhang Weiming's expression became solemn. Seeing all his gaze fixed on him, he continued, the initial job transfer is crucial. Generally speaking, if a job transfer is successful, there are 3 options available. The best, definitely a combat profession. If you're lucky, you might even encounter hidden professions, and that would be flying into the sky. Next, it's auxiliary professions. A good aide can even influence the war situation and rewrite human history. Although these words have been explained countless times. But at this moment, when teaching, all students still listened extremely attentively. Sun Weiming was very satisfied with this. He paused and continued, when it comes to changing jobs, it all depends on luck and talent. Not everyone can succeed. If you fail, don't lose heart either. You can serve in the military, accumulate points, and switch to a gene potion, which is also very strong. Lu Heng listened very carefully. Everyone knows the importance of starting a career. It directly determines future achievements. The strong are always strong. Hide professions, I don't want to, activate combat professions. Lu Heng muttered to himself in his heart, no matter how difficult it is, even with assistance, it's still possible to make waves. Relevant information also comes to mind. There are three main types of job transfer systems in this world. The first type, combat style. Like elemental mages, gunners, marksmen, sword warriors. The second type, auxiliary system. Like a beloved nanny, a must-have tank for dungeons, and a mine master specifically buffed. The third category, life-oriented. Like a chef, pharmacist, engraver, enchanter. The three major systems do not distinguish between high and low. But between professions, there are also different levels. In combat, mages are absolute fathers. Rich people dare to change jobs. Although Blade Warrior is an output, its upper limit is insufficient and it is mixed in the middle and low end. In the auxiliary department, the wet nurse is the real mother. No matter how big or small the milk is, having milk is mom. In the department of life, it covers a wide range. It is also the destination of most people. After all, not everyone can successfully transfer jobs. And those who fail can spend money to buy job transfer scrolls and become life-oriented. Like chefs, their status is very low. Can only make some food that restores chi and blood. But there are also enchanters who can be called respected by everyone and exist like grandfathers. In the classroom, the students whispered and waited silently. Buddha bless me. Give me a combat profession. I don't have high expectations, just create a hidden profession. Gone. Isn't this really high? Have we ever had hidden professions in Chuzhou Third Middle School in the past century? Yeah. That's why I have hope, because I don't have it. Everyone, don't roll up. It's okay if I fail my job transfer. My family has already prepared the money to buy me a job transfer scroll. Gan Lin Yang. Kryptonite player, get out of here. Damn it. What good things can be found in the job transfer scroll? They are all junk professions. Sigh, I just hope to succeed in my job transfer, no matter what profession. My family is poor, and once I fail, there's nothing left. Lu Heng heard those words. Fall into silence. He silently murmured in his heart, you can only succeed, you cannot fail. A few minutes later. Class teacher Sun Weiming suddenly said, received notification. 5 minutes later, at 19.30, the initial job transfer officially begins. Chapter 2. 3 Hidden Occupations. Seeking flower tickets. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Inside the classroom. Everyone held their breath and waited silently. The initial process of job transfer is actually quite simple. It's also fast. Only one level 40 or above light priest is needed to cast the spirit attraction technique. Within the scope of the technique, all people who meet the conditions will have their souls drawn. As long as you don't actively resist, you can connect with the heavenly Tao and switch jobs. There are only 2 prerequisites for the initial job transfer. Firstly, reaching the age of 18. Soul strength is sufficient to connect with the heavenly way. Secondly, the level is greater than level 10. Here we go. Not long after, Sun Weiming let out a soft shout. His gaze swept over everyone. With a serious expression, he said, after the initial job transfer begins, your consciousness will be pulled into a mysterious space and resonate with the heavenly way. In other words, it means loading the server. If the job transfer is successful, 3 career inscriptions will appear. Choose one of them. If it fails, just exit directly. Remember. If successful, never pick and choose, the selection time is only 10 seconds. If it exceeds, it will be forcibly kicked out, which means failure. Sun Weiming spoke these words very quickly. After all, among previous students, there have been multiple instances where some made basic mistakes and ultimately failed. At this point, everyone also listened. Not long after, a soft voice rang in the ears of all high school seniors at Chuzhou No. 3 Middle School. My name is Lu Heng, a 43rd level pastor of the 5th Army of Chuzhou. Now, I will proceed with the initial job transfer for you. 30 seconds later, the official start. Lu Heng let out a few deep breaths. In my mind, inexplicably, the college entrance examination of my past life rings. Transfer of position. It's much more comfortable than the college entrance examination. Give it all your talent and luck, no need to use your brain at all. Some chaotic thoughts loomed, and Lu Heng's heart suddenly calmed down. Come on, silently cheered for himself, closing his eyes and waiting. The same goes for the rest of the class. A pair of eyes, all closed. Next moment, Lu Heng unleashed his spiritual technique. Soft energy waves, like a water curtain, enveloped the entire building and all high school seniors' initial job transfer, start. In the icy feeling, Lu Heng only felt his consciousness completely uncontrollable. It's like being trapped in a vortex, rising rapidly. That kind of gratitude is wonderful. Next up. He was like a stone, falling to the bottom of the lake. But all around is a starry sky. Lu Heng looked around. I feel like countless stars shining on me, as if there are invisible threads connecting to me. These stars are all professions. Awakened in my heart. Now, it's just waiting. If the job transfer is successful, 3 stars will turn into inscriptions and float in front of me. However, just at this moment, a cold and grand voice suddenly rang out in my mind. Ding! Detected fluctuations in the heavenly Tao aura, the strongest profession system is currently binding. Binding successful. Ding! Combining with the host's talent, 3 hidden professions have been forcibly selected. Choose the following. Shadow Artillery Master, Reward. Causal Law Shooting Technique. The more you believe in yourself, the stronger its power will be, but it will continue to consume vitality. Bright Night, Reward. Coordinates of Life Spirit Spring. Millennium Life Spirit Spring can increase life and death, human flesh and bones. It can increase longevity and level. Demon Worm Language, Unique, Reward. You can contract to control all insects and control their evolution. In addition, you can also receive contract worm energy feedback, with a certain chance of critical hits, and contract worm ability inheritance, with a very low probability. In Lu Heng's heart. Exciting uncontrollably. These are 3 hidden professions. Something that countless people dream of, unattainable. Please select the initial profession for the host, remaining time. 10 seconds, Lu Heng no longer hesitated. His gaze fell on the 3rd inscription. The insect speaker profession was originally only able to converse with insects. It can be rewarded with a system. That's equivalent to invincibility. As he makes his choice, the inscription floats in front of me and blends into my consciousness. Ding! Host chooses initial profession. Demon Worm Whisperer. Chapter 3. The Demon Worm Whisperer. Looking for flower tickets. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the podium. Sun Weiming picked up his water glass and took a light sip. I hope this year, there will be some good seedlings. Although he has not experienced the Dark Age. But over the past 30 years of teaching, Chuzhou has experienced 6 animal raids. Although they have all been defended, they have also suffered heavy losses. In the city, everyone lives a peaceful life, and even lights, wine, and horses can be seen everywhere. But outside the city, there is still a world of fierce beasts. No one knows when the next beast tide will be, and if we can hold on. After a wild thought, he put down his water glass and stood up. Based on past experience, starting from now on, some people will gradually complete the initial job transfer. Suddenly, under the podium, a student opened their eyes. Sun Weiming took a quick step and rushed straight to him, saying, "Li Pan, what did you change jobs for?" The young man's face was somewhat bewildered. Looking at the figure in front of me, my eyes finally became focused, and my face suddenly became sad. "Class teacher, I'm cold now, there are no stars to choose me." When changing jobs, one's consciousness will be drawn into the boundless sea of stars. Each star represents a profession. Not being selected indicates an initial job transfer failure. Sun Weiming patted the young man's shoulder and said, "It's okay. It's already difficult to change jobs. You can still enlist or raise some money to buy a job transfer scroll." The latter sat down with a bitter expression on his face. And at this moment, one after another, someone woke up with their eyes open. "Class leader. I succeeded." Sun Weiming looked at the inscription displayed by the student with a smile on his face and said, "Good. Good. Good. Fire Element Mage." Elemental Mage is a common combat profession in the legal system. In the garrison of Chuzhou, there are even elemental mages. Imagine dozens of fire elemental mages casting spells simultaneously. That scene is like a meteor shower. More than 10 seconds passed. More and more people are waking up. "Woo-woo, my job transfer failed. Let's go home and farm." "Cry my ass, I've also failed. There's no farming left now, there are fierce beasts outside the city. Let's enlist." "Same failure. Joining the army counts as one of me. If I perform well, I can still exchange gene potions." "Grass. I succeeded. Blade Warrior. What a deal. We agreed to enter the factory together, but you secretly succeeded. Listen to the sound in your ear." The joyful expression on Sun Weiming's face gradually faded. As of now, almost all students have completed their job transfers. But only a few people succeeded. The best one is the Fire Element Mage. I waited for another 2 minutes. There are only a few people left in the class, all of whom have opened their eyes, and there are 2 more successful ones. The initial transfer time is limited. Now, it's almost over. In Sun Weiming's eyes, there was already an indescribable disappointment. This generation of students is not as good as before. Sigh. One generation is not as good as another. He was worried in his heart. Walk towards the podium with your hands on your back. The usually tall figure now appears somewhat hunched. Suddenly, someone shouted, "Lu Heng is still transferring jobs. It's about to exceed the time limit." Sun Weiming suddenly turned around. And at this moment, a mutation happened. 3 inscriptions appeared around Lu Heng's body, emitting a scorching light. The strange energy fluctuations made everyone's soul tremble. This is inscription projection. Sun Weiming jumped over directly, his whole body trembling uncontrollably. In his heart, there seemed to be a voice constantly roaring. Hide professions. And it's the 3 hidden professions. Boom. At the entrance of the classroom, there was a loud explosion in the void. Two figures appeared. The principal of Chuzhou No. 3 Middle School and Lu Yunkai, who is responsible for the transfer ceremony. After looking at each other, both of them walked in. Three hidden professions. The old principal's eyes were almost bursting. They felt abnormal fluctuations and immediately came to check. Chuzhou, what a heavenly pride. Lu Yunkai also sighed. Hidden professions are too rare. During the process of job transfer, it will directly affect reality and leave a projection. Principal, Mr. Lu. Sun Weiming bowed slightly and continued, unfortunately, the projection of the inscription cannot be seen clearly. I don't know what those three hidden professions are. No problem. Just wait a little longer and you'll know. The old principal rubbed his hands excitedly. Chapter 4. I treat him like my younger brother, he really treats me like. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A few more seconds passed. The projection of the three inscriptions faded and quickly disappeared. He has already chosen it. Sun Weiming's eyes lit up and he murmured softly. In those few seconds, he was truly terrified. I'm afraid that Lu Heng has exceeded the time limit. After all, these are the three hidden professions, and no matter who faces this situation, they will be excited and difficult to choose. It's okay. Undoubtedly, they are students who have been taught by themselves, with excellent psychological qualities. Sun Weiming could even think of it. My name will soon be recorded in history. What kind of profession is it? He became increasingly hopeful in his heart. Beside him, the old principal and Lu Yunkai also looked excited. Buzz. Suddenly. Lu Heng opened his eyes, but they were pitch black with no white eyes. The students behind felt a chill in their backs and their heads seemed to be hit by a sledgehammer, making a buzzing sound. Looking into those eyes, it's like gazing into the abyss. After a few breaths, Lu Heng returned to normal. Sun Weiming instinctively wanted to rush over, but the principal was faster than him. With a swish, he approached Lu Heng and held his hand, saying, "Classmate, are you awakening a hidden profession in the dark?" The so-called dark system is distinguished by attributes such as combat-type undead mages, shadow demons, auxiliary-type dark knights, and so on. All belong to the dark system. Moreover, professions associated with dark attributes are generally combat-oriented, strong and outrageous. Moreover, the young man in front of me is still hiding his profession. Principal. Lu Heng nodded in salute and said solemnly, I have been transferred to another position, and I am a worm speaker. This profession, although hidden, does not possess uniqueness. In the past century, there have also been many occurrences. In some large legions, they exist as standing advisors. And the true transfer of Lu Heng's position as the demon worm whisperer is the only sex-hiding profession. The reason for concealing is just to reduce trouble. Lu Heng lowered his head, pretending to be depressed, but in reality, his gaze was deep. In the job transfer system, some top hidden professions have prefixes on their names. Common shadows, stars, wind, and so on, and the word magic. In the past century, it has only appeared once. That person belongs to taboo existence, and there are only a few records in history. Lu Heng still remembers the sentence. In the year 031 of the new era, the demon emerged and the great summer was turbulent. The strong died, and the emperor emerged and was ultimately killed, although I don't know if my devil's worm language will cause waves. But be cautious, it's always a good thing. When you become stronger in the future, go search for that period of history and at this moment. Everyone was a bit confused when they heard his words. Insect speakers. The principal looked surprised. He stared at Lu Heng with both eyes fixed on him, as if trying to distinguish between truth and falsehood. It wasn't until I heard a positive response again that I showed great disappointment. Sun Weiming stood aside and suddenly became anxious. Lu Heng. You activated the 3 major hidden professions at that time, why did you choose such a thing? Lu Heng smiled wryly and said, I'm too nervous. As I see it approaching the deadline, I can only make a blind choice. After all, as 2 generations of people, acting skills are enough to confuse truth with falsehood. Confused. Confused. You're confused. Sun Weiming hated iron for not becoming steel, his eyes turned red, and he angrily patted his thigh. The students in the classroom witnessed all of this. In the eyes of many people, there is a hint of relief, even a hint of joy. But on his face, he still showed regret. Someone sighed and said, Alas, Lu Heng, you really missed it. Suddenly, many people agreed. Saying regret on the lips, but laughing in the heart. Most people, that's how they can't see the people around them being better than themselves. Insect speakers are also good, Lu Yunkai stood aside and kept watching. After learning about Lu Heng's decision, he did not express disappointment. Looking at the young man ahead, he smiled and said, After all, it's a hidden profession that's extremely rare. The major garrisons are all vying for it. After a pause, he issued an invitation. It's still early for the college entrance examination. On behalf of the 5th Army of Chuzhou, I invite you to participate in a military operation in half a month. Of course. As a special talent, you definitely won't take any risks. Just communicate with insects in that secret realm and obtain intelligence. You can rest assured. The issue of compensation will definitely satisfy you. Lu Heng pondered slightly and nodded, saying, Okay, I accept it. Establishing good relationships with the military is not harmful to oneself. And there's also a reward. I am currently awakening my system and have the only hidden profession. What I urgently need is to level up as soon as possible. And the foundation of all of this is money. Buying equipment costs money, buying potions costs money, and even entering some high-quality dungeons requires money. Okay. At that time, I will send someone to negotiate with you 3 days in advance. Lu Yunkai was very satisfied with this young man in his heart. Don't be surprised by flattery or disgrace. Even if you fall from heaven to hell, you can still maintain your mentality. This is very rare. Before leaving, he said, to ensure everything is safe, try to raise your level to level 15 to avoid communication failure with insects. At 8 p.m. Chuzhou, Jinyuan Community. This is located in the south of the city, and looking around, there are all residential buildings. At this point of Pingchang, it was already pitch black. But tonight, many lights are on. Because many families are waiting for their children to return home after completing their job transfer. At this point, in a relatively old house, on the living room table, there is a sumptuous dinner, emitting heat and fragrance. Su Yaqing had already taken off his apron and anxiously looked out the window. Why hasn't Xiaoheng come back yet? Has his job transfer failed and he dare not go home? After all, it was the day when my son first changed jobs, so it was fake if I wasn't nervous. At the dining table, Jiang Xiaoye touched the plate without reheating it. Get up and walk to the window. Don't worry, Auntie. Xiaoheng will definitely succeed. She is about the same age as Lu Heng. A face without any makeup, but as white as snow, with beautiful features. After speaking, she looked out the window at the night and bit her lips, as if she had made up her mind. After taking a few deep breaths, he smiled and said, Auntie, there's something I want to discuss with you. The woman turned her head and found that the girl's face was slightly flushed, and her eyes were also slightly evasive. Suddenly surprised. After all, on weekdays, Jiang Xiaoye is a warm and generous person, rarely showing her little daughter's demeanor. Xiaoye, what's going on? Jiang Xiaoye's mother passed away since childhood, and her father and Lu Heng's father were comrades in arms. 10 years ago, they both perished during the beast tide. Since then, Jiang Xiaoye has been boarding at Lu Heng's house. Auntie. Opening his mouth, Jiang Xiaoye suddenly felt a bit shy. She pinched the corner of her clothes and said in a soft mosquito-like voice, "This time when I'm back, besides cheering Xiao Heng on, there's one more thing." Xiao Heng is also 18 years old. When he comes back later, you can match me up and get the certificate. He's a bit clumsy. Jiang Xiaoye's head drooped even lower. Su Yaqing lowered her head to hear what she was saying. I usually treat him like my younger brother, does he really treat me like my sister? This won't work. This layer of window paper needs you to puncture it. P.S. Don't worry, brothers. This is an invincible book. The protagonist hides himself, not just to pretend to be a pig and eat a tiger, but to involve the big climax that follows. I can guarantee it. It won't be long before the protagonist is exposed. The outline is sufficient, we definitely won't jump, it's refreshing. Chapter 5. Waiting for him to come back. I will definitely handle him. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jiang Xiaoye is 2 years older than Lu Heng. When I first changed jobs 2 years ago, I awakened the profession of miling mage and ranked in the top 10 in Chuzhou. Although not a hidden profession, the upper limit is extremely high. Can control and output at the same time. This kind of talent is naturally being looted by the 9 major martial arts academies. Jiang Xiaoye, in order to be closer to home and refuse the generous conditions in the capital, chose Jiangnan Military Academy. I took a long vacation this time to return to Chuzhou to cheer for Lu Heng. Give him a surprise by the way. At this point, speak your heart out. Even though he is usually proud and generous, his face is flushed with shyness. Xiao Yi, do you really like Lu Heng? Su Yaqing felt surprised and puzzled. After all these years, she really hasn't seen any signs. I like it. Jiang Xiaoye nodded and continued, Xiao Heng is so handsome, but he has a very Buddhist personality. I can't trust giving him to another woman. Since that's the case, I'll start earlier and let it go. After these 2 sentences, Jiang Xiaoye's face turned back into a smile. Seeing Su Yaqing stunned, she smiled and said, I grew up with Xiao Heng and we've been used to protecting him since we were young, and this kid is not as serious as he appears on the surface. I don't know what came to mind. Jiang Xiaoye's face turned red again and he said, anyway. Xiao Heng, I'm done. Su Yaqing nodded in confusion. In my heart, I am not so conflicted, but rather very happy. After all, she knows Jiang Xiaoye's excellence. And from childhood to adulthood, I have been very mature and sensible, with an excellent personality that helps me maintain this family. But in her heart, there was one final question. What if Xiao Heng's transfer failed? Jiang Xiaoye immediately answered the conversation with a resolute and domineering tone, then don't try to match up. I will find an opportunity, raw rice and cooked rice. Su Yaqing nodded and let out a sigh in her heart. She knew that her son had a strong personality, and if he failed to transfer, he would definitely refuse. Ding dong. Ding dong. Just as each of them had their own thoughts, the doorbell rang. Xiao Heng is back. Jiang Xiaoye's eyes lit up and he quickly got up, jumping and running over. Opening the door, I saw Lu Heng, but he was blocked at the entrance. Only those who have changed jobs are allowed to enter this sect, so mediocre people can take a detour, said the imposing figure. Lu Heng saw the girl in front of him and a gentle smile curved his lips. I haven't seen it for 2 years. At this moment, it feels like going back to the past. Staring at the girl. He said while slippering, Jiang Xiaoye, you've been in Jiangnan for 2 years and you're still so childish. After speaking, with lightning speed, he reached forward with his hands clasped together. Like when I was a child, falling on my slender waist. Lu Heng instinctively prepared to exert force and pick up the girl horizontally. Actionable. But it was a delay. This girl is 20 years old. It goes without saying much about appearance, but the material on one's body is also solid. Isn't it inappropriate to be like this yourself? Just as the thought had risen in my heart, I heard a mosquito-fly-like voice in my ear. Humph, you're so weak. Lu Heng is angry. With a strong waist, he lifted the person and walked in. Mom. Are the dishes good today? Lu Heng greeted with a smile and threw Jiang Xiaoya, who had beaten him, onto the sofa. Su Yaqing watched this scene with a smile on her face, unable to laugh or cry. These two guys have been like this since they were young, causing a lot of commotion. Soon. 3 people are sitting at the dinner table. Jiang Xiaoya blinked his eyes and asked casually, how did it go? Was the initial job transfer successful? Lu Heng sneered, it's just a job transfer, that's not just about having hands. Besides, I also activated a hidden profession. Jiang Xiaoya's eyes sparkled with light. Glancing at Su Yaqing, he continued to ask, wow. Brother is amazing. What profession is he? Lu Heng was focused on eating vegetables, and he was really hungry. Insect talker. Ah. Jiang Xiaoya was stunned. Su Yaqing also silently put down his chopsticks, feeling a bit complicated. Insect speakers. This profession, although nominal, is a hidden profession. But their actual status is even worse than that of ordinary combat professions. After all, we can only communicate with the Zerg, and we cannot command or take it for our own use. This ability can only be used when exploring dungeons and secret realms. Watching my son bury his head in eating. Su Yaqing could even imagine the suppressed sadness in Lu Heng's heart. She looked at Jiang Xiaoya. The latter shook his head slightly, indicating not to mention the matchmaking matter again, otherwise it would undermine Lu Heng's self-esteem. After all, Jiang Xiaoya himself has such great talent, Xiaoheng. If you feel uncomfortable. Jiang Xiaoya deliberately joked, sister's shoulder, I can borrow it from you. Lu Heng swallowed a piece of braised pork belly, and his mouth was full of oil. Yeah. The thin ones are all bones. Why should I borrow them? Also. I'm really not sad at all. He behaved very normally. But the more so. Jiang Xiaoya felt particularly heartbroken in his heart. This meal. Lu Heng enjoyed his meal, but his mother and Jiang Xiaoya were cautious. Finally. He wiped his mouth clean and said, Mom. Sister. There is still 1 month left until the college entrance examination. I have accepted the invitation from the 5th Army of Chuzhou and will follow them to the secret realm in half a month. Don't worry, there is definitely no danger. Also. In the next few days, I'm going to upgrade to the next level, but I won't come back. Jiang Xiaoya's eyes lit up and he said, upgrade. I'll take you. After thinking for a moment, Lu Heng replied, no, and then went straight back to the bedroom. The profession of the demon worm whisperer is full of countless possibilities. He has to make many attempts, but it's better not to expose it. Beside the dining table. Su Yaqing and Jiang Xiaoya both had a heavy expression on their faces. Ah, Xiaoheng is too strong, Su Yaqing sighed. She could even imagine that her son must be under immense pressure. In order to avoid the gaze of his family, he even decided to go out for a few days. Auntie, don't worry. Xiaoheng, go out and relax, it's also great. Jiang Xiaoya lifted her drooping hair. His gaze was full of determination. Wait for him to come back. I must have dealt with him. P.S. Old authors open new books, quality assurance. The outline is sufficient, ensuring no jumping. Don't worry about eating. Seeking a flower, an evaluation ticket, a monthly ticket. Please. The new book period is very important. Chapter 6. For Golden Talents. Blood Phosphorus Bug. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. At 11 o'clock in the evening, the night breeze is blowing. The curtain by the window occasionally swings up and down. Lu Heng sat on the bed and opened the system panel. Name: Lu Heng, level LV11, power. Unclassified, occupation: Demon Worm Whisperer, unique, career talent. Zerg communication, green, Zerg contract LV1, gold, Zerg evolution LV1, gold, contract backfeeding LV1, gold, contract inheritance LV1, gold, equipment. None, contract worm. None, energy point. None, lottery. Not yet opened, task. None, package. Beginner gift pack *1, insect egg *1, gone. Surprisingly, they are the 4 golden talents. Lu Heng's heart was surging, and his eyes lit up. Each profession has a corresponding innate talent. And between talents, there is a great distinction between strength and weakness. From low to high, they are white, green, blue, red, purple, gold. Most ordinary professions have white innate talents. Only slightly stronger ones can achieve green. For example, the shield armor has its original talent of being strong and its rarity is white. And the bright shield armor, as an advanced profession, has its original talent of being as motionless as a mountain, and its rarity is green. Only a very small number of powerful professions, or hidden professions. Only those who possess blue or above talent. Of course, the level of talent can also affect strength. For example, the shield armor's sturdy point can withstand great damage even when it reaches its full level. Anyway, talent is the cornerstone of everything. It is the most important indicator for measuring a person's potential. Having a blue talent is considered a genius. Having a red talent can be called Tianjiao. The 3 people cited by the homeroom teacher. Ishan Su Chen, he is 2 blue and 1 red. Dragon Knight Zhang Mingyu, 3 reds and 1 purple. The great Xia Emperor in the capital is said to have 4 purple and 2 gold. Lu Heng murmured to himself, and I. The 4 golden talents. In the future, there may be a contract inheritance in place, and it may even increase. At this moment, he felt a great sense of pride rising in his heart. Of course, as a person of 2 generations, Lu Heng would not aim too high. He knows that his current most important thing is to upgrade. Raise the level with my abilities. It's completely possible for one person to form an army and transform into a natural disaster. After calming down the excitement in my heart, when Lu Heng's gaze fell on the package, it instantly lit up. In my mind, relevant information also comes to mind. There is only 1 gift package. But the insect eggs gifted by the system. Every time I reach level 10, I will provide 1 as needed. First, open the gift package. As the command is issued, the prompt sound immediately rings. Ding! Congratulations to the host, you have obtained 100 energy points. Energy points can be used for contract insect hatching, upgrading, evolution, reproduction, host skill upgrades, and lucky draws. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Zerg space, upgradable, already bound. Currently, it can accommodate 100 million insects to reproduce and thrive. Ding! Congratulations to the host, you have obtained 1000 Lingshu grass, which can meet the daily consumption of most insects. Each serving can provide 10,000 insects with 1 day's consumption. Ding! Congratulations to the host. You have obtained 3 facial slime, which can change your appearance and mask your breath after use, lasting for 24 hours. The 3 rewards opened in the gift package are all quite practical. From a descriptive perspective, energy points have a significant impact. And how to obtain it? When Lu Heng gains experience by killing monsters or is fed back by contract worms, he draws 1% as energy points. The Zerg space is an ancient inscription. After some thought, Lu Heng positioned it on his right arm. After a few flashes of light, it disappeared. But consciousness can connect freely. Throw all the Lingshu grass in, and Lu Heng will retrieve the insect eggs rewarded by the system. Blood phosphorus insect egg, female, level. LV10, rarity. Ancient aliens, evaluation. Blood and flesh essence is everything it has. Ability. Breaking armor, devouring flesh and blood essence, growing rapidly. Has extremely strong physical and spell defense. It can release phosphorus fire toxic mist and has extremely strong corrosiveness. After LV15 level, it can divide and reproduce. The first generation can divide 5 times, with 100 at a time. The second generation of blood phosphorus insects can divide 4 times, with 100 at a time. And so on. Weakness. Mental attacks. Advanced route. Blood phosphorus insect blood phosphorus demon insect, LV30, Qianshan blood goo, LV60, is it a contract after reading the introduction of blood phosphorus insects? Lu Heng stood up excitedly, with infinite surprise in his heart. Too strong. And it's extremely suitable for me now. Blood phosphorus insects have the ability to devour, and with the assistance of contract backfeeding, they are truly incredible. Lu Heng's heart was surging. He calculated it, after the blood phosphorus insect LV15, it splits 5 times, which is 500. The 500 will serve as the second generation, splitting into 100 each. The third generation. The fourth generation by the end of the sixth generation, a total of over 1 trillion. At that time, it won't be any Zerg legion. But rather, a natural disaster. Lu Heng's heart was surging with excitement, and his eyes were shining brightly. Contract. With the release of thoughts. He could clearly feel that he had established a strange connection with the insect egg in front of him. That's absolute control. And inside the insect eggs. At this moment, there is also a sense of attachment. Ding. Your passive talent contract inheritance takes effect. Ding. You have obtained the skill, Phosphorus Fire Poison Mist, from the blood phosphorus insect. At this moment. A prompt sound suddenly rang in my mind. Next, there is the skill introduction. Phosphorus Fire Poison Mist, LV1, grade. Blue, introduction. It has extremely strong corrosiveness and can enter the body with the target's breath. The releaser can control its combustion, and its flame ability is not bad. Release requirement. Consume mental energy, continuous release, continuous consumption, release range. Within the current level, it can cover 5 meters around the body, undoubtedly a golden talent. Under extremely low probability conditions, you can inherit a powerful skill for me. After reading the introduction several times, Lu Heng immediately activated it. On his right hand, a dark blue mist suddenly appeared, swallowing and hesitating with thoughts. He found an alloy iron bar and made a sizzling sound when touched. In just a few seconds, the alloy iron is pitted and shows signs of melting. This skill is stronger than I imagined. It's truly a blue level. After pondering for a moment, Lu Heng muttered to himself, there is indeed a bit of mental exhaustion. At my current level, I can release my full strength up to 5 times. Otherwise, there is a risk of fainting. While Lu Heng was pondering, in my mind, a faint voice rang out. Lord! Lord! Come out. Lu Heng understood and understood. Spend 50 points of energy to help it break eggs and emerge. The little one is half the size of a fingertip, blood red all over, with wings on its back, and 2 dark jaws in front of its mouth. Well, to be honest, it looks a bit ferocious. Let's call you Huoling. Lu Heng murmured to himself. And the little bug also understood. Happy flying back and forth, landing inside Lu Heng's hair, drilling back and forth inside, but unwilling to come out. Lu Heng had no choice but to let it go. I played with Hu Ling for a while. A girl-like voice rang out in my mind again. Hungry, rice, blood, drink, big. Lu Heng couldn't help but laugh and cry. Fortunately he understood everything. Tomorrow. Take you to the next book and have a good meal. P.S. New book period, looking for a flower, a review ticket, and a monthly pass. Please. This is really important to me. Chapter 7. The Dream of Top Heavenly Pride, Breaking the Military City. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At the same time. Chuzhou, the base of the 5th Army Corps. Lu Yun has just completed the job transfer task and returned to the camp, currently reporting. In the office, sitting at the top is a middle-aged man with a dignified appearance. After listening to the situation, I was pleasantly surprised and said, in Chuzhou, someone has awakened a bug speaker. On the other faces, smiles also appeared. After all, there is still half a month left, and that secret realm is about to be opened. Once again, it will take another year. Jean Yu. Half a month later, you will lead the team into the Insect Valley, are you sure? With the inquiry of the Grand Commander. In the office, everyone's gaze was directed towards a woman. In my eyes, there is a strong admiration. Just 27 years old, already level 39. Extremely strong combat power. Her name is Song Jinyu. Wearing leather armor and a simple ponytail. Although the face lacks some maintenance and is not fair, it exudes a wild and heroic spirit. It's very eye-catching. Upon hearing this, he smiled and replied, Commander. With the addition of the Bug Whisperer, the success rate of this task will increase by at least 3 levels. Don't worry, we guarantee to complete the task. At this point, Lu Yunkai continued, Commander, I think that little guy is quite good. I would like to suggest giving him a trial spot. Moreover, he has some connections with us. Oh. Can you tell me? The commander asked curiously. I checked and found out that his father's name is Lu Jinghua, and he was a soldier of our 5th Regiment. He was the commander of the 127th Company back then. Beside her, Song Jinyu's face was taken aback, as if she remembered something. Lu Yun just glanced at her. Continuing, that's right. Old Song enlisted in the 127th Company back then. 10 years ago, in the Beast Tide, Lu Jinghua was ordered to defend on the first line of defense, and the entire company fought until the last person, with almost no casualties. Except for Old Song who was sent to deliver the message. Upon hearing this, Song Jinyu's eyes immediately turned red. When she was young, she joined the military as soon as she completed her initial job transfer. Because of being the youngest. Even the people inside didn't want her to die. Sent by Lu Jinghua to the command center for questioning, he became the only member of the 127th Company. Lu Jinghua, I remember him. The commander sat up straight and said sternly, back then, when the Beast Tide came, he volunteered and went to the first line of defense, buying precious time for everyone. The glory of death. Since it's his heir, we really need to help. Let's wait until the college entrance examination is over. If he is willing, he can be flexible and give him a trial spot. In the kingdom of Daxia, the 9 martial arts institutes are the dream of all students. And above that, there is also the direct subordinate of the military headquarters. Pujuan City. His power, heritage, and number of strong individuals are unimaginable. And 70% of the dungeons, secret realms, and other resources in the entire Daxia kingdom are in the hands of the military headquarters. Every year during the college entrance examination, the station corps in each city have admission quotas. For example, the 5th Regiment of Chuzhou has 20 spots. After being recruited, these 20 people will receive massive resources for training and trial. Then, compete with other members of the Chuzhou regiment after one round of selection. The entire Jiangnan base includes a giant city and 17 acropolis. The last 50 people who pass the level can enter Jiangnan Breaking Army City. The 5th Army of Chuzhou, willing to open a back door for Lu Heng, is actually taking risks and being extremely generous. Of course, they don't expect Lu Heng to advance. Let it mix a wave of resources and trials, and consider it as feedback. The next day. After finishing breakfast and tidying up, Lu Heng finished. After saying hello to my mother and Zhang Xiaoye, I left. Half an hour later. Zhang Xiaoye has also finished tidying up. Auntie. Don't worry. I'm in the dark, I'll definitely take care of Xiaoheng. Don't let him do anything foolish. Su Yaqing nodded and said, thank you. Xiaoye. Hi. We're all family soon, I'm almost changing my tune. You're welcome. Zhang Xiaoye waved his hand wide. Su Yaqing couldn't laugh or cry. As a mother, she is really heartbroken. Last night, she called Lu Heng's homeroom teacher and learned that her son had awakened to the 3 hidden professions. But in the end, I made a blind choice due to nervousness. I couldn't sleep all night, and the more I thought about it, the more worried I became. I'm afraid that Lu Heng might do something extreme. Talk to Zhang Xiaoye overnight. The latter decided to quietly follow without being noticed, in order to avoid stimulating Lu Heng. It's okay. During breakfast chat just now, Lu Heng mentioned his next seat. Otherwise, we'll have to come up with something else. Auntie, I'm leaving. As he went downstairs, Zhang Xiaoye murmured to himself. I am a level 27 phantom spirit mage, who actually works as a bodyguard for that kid. Humph. Don't let me take you to upgrade yet. What's so embarrassing about it? Stinky little brother. Stinky little brother. Stinky little brother. When you come back, see if I don't strip you all. Fragmented thoughts come to this point. Zhang Xiaoye couldn't help but think of something and spat, his face burning with anger. Chapter 8. Hidden Dungeons of the Maze of Misfortune. Seeking Freshness. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At 6 o'clock in the morning. The dawn is slightly dewy, and the entire sky appears dark blue. When Lu Heng arrived at the transportation station in the northern suburbs, it was already overcrowded. Looking around, the darkness was filled with human heads. Various sounds are heard endlessly. Team up for the demonic spirit tower dungeon. Come to level 25 or above. Currently, we lack nannies and control systems. 18th level gunner, seeking to form a dungeon of the Maze of Adversity. Professional undertaking of leveling and scrolling, led by level 30 experts, safe and painless. High-priced recycled materials. Brothers, come back from your purchases and remember to sell me. If you're interested, add a friend. Lu Heng did not stop and headed to the waiting area of the Maze of Adversity. Information related to replicas also comes to mind. The Maze of Adversity. This copy is numbered C.18. It is one of the popular beginner dungeons in Chuzhou. The level of the monster is around level 20. If it had been before, with the strength of Lu Heng LV11, going there would have been a bit overwhelming. But now, he has no fear at all. With the presence of blood phosphorus insects, the Maze of Adversity is like a child's play. If it weren't for the proximity, Lu Heng would even want to go to a higher level. When fire phosphorus is still an egg, it is already LV10. After hatching, it soared directly to LV14. Upgrade one more level and you will be able to split and reproduce. The configuration of a convoy usually involves drivers and escorts. Although it has been cleaned up many times within 100 miles outside the city, the ferocious beasts have almost disappeared. But no one can guarantee that there will be no accidents. Just as he got on the bus, Lu Heng noticed that it was almost full. Approaching the front, there are several figures wearing the same attire. There is a pattern on the chest that reads Qinglan Guild. Qinglan, one of the 3 major trade unions in Chuzhou. Lu Heng glanced and then shifted his gaze. This kind of grand guild also has good benefits. Many students who cannot get into good martial arts academies and lack money to buy equipment will join them. It's just that Lu Heng didn't expect it. The simple dungeon of the Maze of Adversity will attract people from the Qinglan Guild. Maybe it's due to a lack of certain materials, so go ahead and specifically brush the boss to explode. Lu Heng looked empty and casually found a seat in front of him. Next to her is a girl with wavy red hair. Behind, several members of the Qinglan Guild were originally chatting. At this moment, it suddenly fell silent. A pair of eyes, with an inexplicable expression, looked at Lu Heng. A few people, even whispering with excitement. Lu Heng was unaware of this change and sat down on his own. The red-haired girl opened her eyes and looked over indifferently. After seeing Lu Heng, a ripple flickered in his deep blue eyes and he nodded slightly as a gesture. Behind the car, someone whispered, "Damn it. Being handsome is amazing." The captain even nodded at him. The friend next to him grinned and said, "Stop talking nonsense, give me the money." "You lost the bet. That kid wasn't kicked away." Not long after. The driver and escort get on the car, sit in the driver's seat, and the bus starts. 10 minutes later, we passed the north gate. Officially enter the outskirts of the city. There were a few scattered people in the car who followed their friends out of the city for the first time and couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. Sleeping slot. Is this special the primitive world? As far as the eye can see, there are trees blocking the sky and the sun. In the low shrubs, even tens of meters of large snakes can be seen swimming. This kind of creature is an evolution of the original wild beast of Blue Star, and cannot even be considered a ferocious beast. You can easily deal with any low-level combat profession. The bus continues to move forward. In the jungle, there are still many ruins, all of which are former cities and villages. Those places all reveal the mottled nature of time. On many stones, there are still dark brown bloodstains remaining, seemingly revealing the dark era of the past. 50 minutes later, we arrived outside the Maze of Adversity. Lu Heng quietly got off the car with his bag on his back. Strangely, the red-haired girl next to her also walked down. She walked up to Lu Heng and smiled, "Handsome guy, why don't you join our team alone? Experience is guaranteed." As soon as these words were spoken, Lu Heng had not yet agreed. "Behind me." A person from the Qinglan Union urgently said, "Captain, we need to go hide the deputy." The girl gave a faint glance and said, "Shut up. Anyway, there's only one person left. Finding someone handsome can at least keep your eyes open." After finishing speaking, he added a knife and said, "Look at these faces of yours, it's annoying to see them." Those young people, chatting and smiling, were a bit awkward. Lu Heng seemed to hesitate a bit. Su Lan said solemnly, "To be honest. We have received the request, there is also a hidden copy in the Misfortune Maze." After a pause, he smiled helplessly and said, "But just now the informant sent a message that there is a requirement for the number of people in that hidden dungeon, which must be 7 people. We are one less. Moreover, the members of the 2 major guilds, Yulong and Tiandi, have already entered early. We don't have time to recruit anyone, so we hope you can join." After speaking, he reached out and handed it to his face. With one eye fixed on Lu Heng. There are 3 major guilds in Chuzhou, Qinglan, Yulong, and Tiandi. In terms of strength, Qinglan has a slight advantage. But the other 2 began to form an alliance, and suddenly their momentum surged, gaining the upper hand. Choosing to pull Lu Heng to make up for it this time is also a helpless move. "I really don't have time. Why choose me?" Lu Heng pondered and asked. After all, there are so many people waiting to team up at the entrance of this dungeon. Some are powerful, even displaying attribute information to find suitable partners under the name of Qinlan. One can easily attract a strong person. Because you're handsome. Su Lan replied firmly. But in my heart, I secretly said. As soon as I got on the car, I ignored my intimidation and sat next to me without any burden. My strength should not be weak, sure, that's a great reason. I'll join. Handsome people won't have too bad luck. The ancients never deceived me. The group rushed in and also discussed the distribution of spoils of war. Lu Heng was very generous, stating that he only needed experience and monster corpses. Following a strong team is definitely more efficient than brushing alone. His decision instantly brings joy to the hearts of Su Lan and others. Not long after Lu Heng entered. Another bus is coming. Jiang Xiaoye jumped off the car and headed straight to the entrance. Many people looked at her and their eyes lit up. They approached Ben. Sister Paper, I'll take you. 23rd level shield armor. Good sister. Come to my side, I'll miss you. I'll guarantee you a level 2 promotion in one day. The first 2 weak chickens, can you make way for me? Girl, I am a level 24 gunner and can take you to brush the boss. Watching the road blocked. On Jiang Xiaoye's expressionless face, impatience appeared. She scanned around and coldly shouted, get out. After speaking, directly unfold your body movements. In just a breath, like falling leaves, kicking a few times in a row, everyone suddenly turned upside down. How dare you invite the old lady? A group of weak chickens. Jiang Xiaoye finishes roast and continues to enter the replica. You can't be too irritable, let alone let Xiao Heng see, he muttered to himself, what if he likes ladies' orders? Forget chapter 9, just make up the number of people. Seeking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The brief dizziness came to an end. Lu Heng's consciousness has been restored and he has entered the dungeon from the teleportation array. At the same time, relevant information presented in everyone's mind. Dungeon. Labyrinth of Misfortune, rating. Simple, recommended level. LV18, description. At the moment when the Buddha's light extinguished, believers became the most evil people in the world. They chanted the Buddha's name and built a maze. Since you can't trap your killing heart, then trap your decaying body. Shu. Remember to walk quietly and slowly, don't be noticed by your eyes. Don't ring the funeral bell of disaster. As that piece of information disappears. What appeared before Lu Heng was a huge wall with many visible forks. On the wall, it appears grayish-brown and is engraved with Buddhist patterns. Most places are already bumpy, revealing the mottled nature of time. Beside her, Su Lan was chewing gum. Proactively explain. You saw the message just now, right? Hide the copy, just hide it in the last sentence. As she moved forward, she continued, there are 4 main corpses in the Maze of Misfortune, namely the boss. After being killed, one eye will burst out. Collect all 4 eyeballs and place them in the groove of the ancient clock in the center of the dungeon. Knock it to open. The other team members all followed behind and stood guard. Watching the captain so considerate and telling everything to Lu Heng, I immediately felt uncomfortable. Damn it, just an outsider. Captain, you need to be reserved. Isn't it just handsome? It's useless. Don't be a licking dog like us. Looking at the back of Lu Heng. Their eyes turned green and they wished they could kill them directly. Another fork in the road has been taken, and no other scattered people can be seen around. Su Lan took out a long knife from the storage space, emitting a faint cold light. Hey, I haven't asked what your name is yet. She stopped in place and asked softly towards the landing platform. Jiang Chen. Lu Heng's face remained unchanged. In my heart, Jiang Xiaoya's appearance appeared. Level, occupation. After Su Lan finished asking, she added, there's no other point. Let me see how many people can be arranged to protect you. After all, there are all monsters in the channel ahead, so we need to push them horizontally. Without hesitation, Lu Heng directly displayed his level information. Then, he activated his skills and made the poisonous mist halo around his fingertips. With a grin, he said, Level 11, Poison Spirit Master. Su Lan was originally looking ahead, but upon hearing this, her body stiffened. Turning mechanically, he looked up slightly at Lu Heng and said, Level 10 or 11. She didn't give up and used appraisal techniques to check the level information opened by Lu Heng, and her whole body was struck by lightning. Is it really special? It's level 11. How dare you come to the maze of adversity? How dare you be next to yourself as soon as you get in the car? Poison-related professions are even more promiscuous. You also need to have self-awareness. Su Lan roared wildly in her heart. But now, it's almost time to reach the first boss point, and there won't be enough time to change people. After all, the two major guilds, Yulong and Tiandi, may have already started to boss. Forget it, just make up the number of people, let's go. After speaking, a bitter smile appeared on his face. Walking forward without hesitation, a bitter voice drifted over. Chengong, Li Ran, you two protect Jiang Chen. She had previously anticipated that even if Lu Heng was not strong, he would still be at least level 20. But now, after knowing that he was only at level 11, he really felt a bit overwhelmed. This level can't even handle small monsters. She even got someone to protect her, which disrupted her plan. Follow closely and honestly. The other members of the Qinglan Guild all had cold faces, as if they had eaten a fly. Along the way, Su Lan can be called a female martial god. When she encounters a corpse in the corridor, she directly slays it with a single sword. In the dim maze, there were only howls and flickering blade lights. Lu Heng left no trace. Release the fire spirit and fall far behind. Every corpse is swallowed up completely, ding. Your energy storage of the blood phosphorus insect is full. The talent of contract backfeeding is activated, and the blood phosphorus insect begins to continuously feed back to you. Ding. You have gained 244 points of energy from the blood phosphorus insect's backfeeding. Ding. You gain 196 points of energy from the blood phosphorus insect's feedback, triggering 100 times critical strike effect, and ultimately reaching 19,600 points of energy. Ding. You have obtained 211 points of energy from the blood phosphorus insect refeeding. Ding. You gain 220 points of energy from the blood phosphorus insect's feedback, which stimulates a 10,000 times critical strike effect and ultimately amounts to 220,000 points of energy. In an instant, Lu Heng only felt his own strength. At a terrifying speed, crazily improving. The energy that comes from feedback is integrated into all four limbs of the body. The qi and blood in my body are like a river that has opened its floodgates, surging and constantly strengthening. Muscles. Meridians. Spirit, all attributes are exploding. Lu Heng quietly opened the panel, glanced at it, and almost shouted out. In just a few minutes, especially after that 10,000 times critical hit, he has risen from LV11 to LV15. Suppress the ecstasy in your heart. He hides his level information and cannot be verified by others. Before level 20, upgrading was relatively easy. After level 20, each level requires a massive amount of experience. Ordinary little monsters, even ineffective. For example, a few members of the Qinglan Guild next to them do not take the experience of corpses seriously. But Lu Heng is different. He has the talent of contract backfeeding and also has a critical strike chance. The level is crazily rising. If there were 1,000,000 critical hits, I might go straight to 20. By the way, if the fire phosphorus rises one more level, it can split and reproduce, and then they will feed me back together. Lu Heng's heart surges, bow down. In my mind. Emerging from the scene of just crossing the river and fantasizing about it. Wielding your aura to the sea, soaring to the sky, and pulling up the river is like a sword. Before, I was just fantasizing. I didn't have expectations. But now. It's just a matter of time. Chapter 10. You're special. I gave you face, right? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hurry up. Hurry up. Su Lan and 3 others are driving ahead. Inside the corridor, there are densely packed bodies of bald donkeys. Although it's easy to kill, it takes time. The stench of decay is lingering and nauseating. Far behind everyone, a small bug happily devours. The Maze of Adversity only has 4 bosses. Yulong and Tian are the first to enter and occupy an advantage. We must accelerate our speed and ensure that we earn 2. After Su Lan finished speaking at lightning speed, she suddenly shouted, "Step back." The 3 of them also had a tacit understanding and immediately fell behind. Lu Heng looked up and found that Su Lan's voice had disappeared. The darkness in front of him seemed to be distorted and was rapidly turning into darkness. The blade of the night. In her ear, Su Lan's voice rang out. And that comes with it. It is the countless blades that light up in the darkness, weaving a web of slaughter and covering towards the front. Roaming. The night disappears. Like cutting wheat, all the bodies of bald donkeys in the corridor ahead fell to the ground, making a loud noise. The power of one move is terrifying. Beside Lu Heng, the 2 couldn't help but sigh. The captain is too strong. That skill just now made me look numb. Hee hee. Captain's Night Blade, after all, is a green grade. A strong group. Su Lan turned around. Staring at them, "Stop talking nonsense. Hurry up." After a pause, he turned to Lu Heng and said, "Remember to follow closely and protect yourself. If you have any questions, remember to say so. Continue forward without waiting for a reply." The skill just now was already so powerful, but the level is only a green skill. What about my own phosphorus mist, which is blue looking back? There is no trace of fire phosphorus at all. That little guy really enjoyed eating. On the other side. After entering the Maze of Adversity, Jiang Xiaoye suddenly felt confused. It's really difficult to find someone in this kind of replica. Who? Calm down. Calm down. Xiaoheng has been quick-witted since childhood and definitely won't do anything foolish. Jiang Xiaoye took out his staff and held it in his hand. After delving deeper, she saw a scattered figure and approached, asking, "Hello, have you seen a very handsome guy who is 18 years old and also very tall?" "Beauty, are you talking about me?" the young man grinned. "You're so special. I gave you face, right?" Jiang Xiaoye picked up his wand and was ready to hammer it down, but remembered that he had just said, "You can't be too violent. Halfway up and then down. Stare at the person and continue to delve deeper." Spinning around for a long time. Seeing a group of people brushing bosses, he quickly stepped forward and said, "Friends, have you ever seen a very handsome young man, around 18 years old, who is also very tall?" The group of people had eerie eyes, and 2 of them were on guard. "Are you looking for someone?" The young man gave the boss a final blow, took his eyes off the ground, and walked over. Looking at Jiang Xiaoye, a ripple flashed in his eyes. "I have a lot of people here, and I can help you find it, but there is one condition," he continued politely, "you say." Jiang Xiaoye secretly guarded himself and replied. "We are from the Yulong Guild, and you must have heard of it. We are going to enter the hidden dungeon now, but a teammate has died. I want to help you make up for it." The young man whispered, "Don't worry. With our strength, there's no need to deceive you. If we say we'll help you find it, we'll definitely help. But the premise is, we'll go to the dungeon first. Jiang Xiaoye hesitated for a few seconds and nodded in agreement. How can there be hidden dungeons in this difficult maze? With Xiaoheng's personality, if he found out, he might go in and mix up. Maybe we can come across it. As for these few people, to be honest, Jiang Xiaoye doesn't take them seriously. As a level 27 enchanting mage, you are capable of fighting beyond your level. Whether it's for one person or a group of people. Especially, there are professions in the opposite configuration that have not been unlocked. Boom! A headless Buddha corpse fell to the ground with a loud roar. The smoke and dust rolled and quickly dissipated. Su Lan searched for a moment and found the eyeball, with a hint of joy on her face. With this thing, it's like having an admission ticket. As for other explosive things, she was too lazy to look at them. This level of boss can only sell bronze-level equipment for a few dollars. Let's go. Go to the next boss. With a command, the group hurried forward. Lu Heng fell behind and turned around to take a look. The huge body has already shrunk. A body full of flesh and blood has been swallowed up. Ding! Your energy storage of the blood phosphorus insect is full. The talent of contract backfeeding is activated, and the blood phosphorus insect begins to continuously feed back to you. Ding! You gain 19,700 points of energy from the blood phosphorus insect's feedback, which triggers 100 times critical strike effect and ultimately amounts to 197,000 points of energy. With this wave of feedback, Lu Heng's level has reached LV 19. In just half an hour, from level 11 to level 19. If this speed were to be transmitted, no one would dare to believe it, it was just a fantasy. Fire phosphorus has swallowed so many corpses, and finally it's almost level 15. Just one more boss corpse is enough. The upgrade process of blood phosphorus insects is quite lengthy. As an ancient alien species, it is normal for us to have some shortcomings while being exceptionally strong. What Lu Heng is most looking forward to now is for the little one to quickly upgrade. Starting to split and reproduce. At that time. 1.10, 10 to 100, 100 to 10,000. Once the snowball rolls, it will only get faster and faster. In my own hands, I can immediately master a large army.